Would you be surprised to learn that despite all of the allegations and evidence, a significant number of YouTubers continue to support MrBeast? Out of these YouTubers, many viewers were disappointed that Ludwig was one of them. And just now, Ludwig decided to break the silence and openly talk about the MrBeast situation. This really isn't a good year for Ludwig. I feel like Ludwig started to get a lot of hate after Tom Dark made a video about why he doesn't like Ludwig, after which he followed up with, "Does Ludwig deserve more hate?" Now, the most important part was that in his opinion, Ludwig doesn't ever really pick sides, and that Ludwig voices an opinion that he knows most people will agree with, which is fair criticism because there was a situation where Ludwig made a video about Hassan, and after Hassan wasn't really happy with the video, Ludwig just ended up deleting it. I'm just saying this to give you an idea why some people do not like Ludwig. Now, another guy that actually liked Ludwig but ended up disliking him is Jojo. From what I understand, Jojo is this ASMR channel. He mostly covers ASMR drama, but he ended up making a video where he talked about how Ludwig responded very poorly to all of the MrBeast allegations, and that he either didn't really respond to any of them, and when he decided to actually watch some of the videos made against MrBeast, his points and arguments and overall his reaction was really bad, which luckily is something that Ludwig ended up acknowledging.
And also led to my worst live stream ever. Because frankly, the live stream was embarrassing.
First, to give you some context why Ludwig ended up getting into this whole situation in the first place, it's important to understand that Ludwig is a huge commentary channel. Whenever there was huge news that broke out, Ludwig would be one of the first who would cover it. Obviously with Moist Critical usually being first and Ludwig being second, but still doesn't really change the point that a lot of viewers went to Ludwig to get his opinion about certain drama, certain news coverage, and recently Ludwig, together with Moist Critical, decided that they really don't want to be a part of the drama anymore. That they occasionally might talk about something, but they both came to the realization that talking about drama every day isn't necessarily the best thing for your mental health.
It's because I made a video on this channel about a week ago called I Don't Like This Channel. And in it, I basically talk about how I don't like doing drama videos. Drama videos do really well. They get millions and millions of views, but those viewers only want more drama videos. So I looked into more drama to make more videos to satisfy the viewers. And it's kind of a negative cycle. Like it loops, it feeds itself. It makes a lot of money. That's great. That's cool. But the viewers that come from it and the content that I make from it isn't something that I'm proud of or like.
And then Ludwig actually got into why he reacted to the video and why the reaction wasn't that good.
Frankly, the live stream was embarrassing. It was me watching the video, like kind of just trudging through it, pausing, talking about random aimless shit, trying to basically get through it so I could say, look, I've watched this thing. Now can I please move on to gaming? Without actually objectively looking at what's being said.
As you can guess, this obviously was a huge mistake on Ludwig's part, because if he just said that, guys, I'm done with the drama, I don't want to talk about all of this controversial stuff anymore, and moved on, I feel like most people would understand it. Sure, there still would be a lot of viewers who would be saying that he just isn't talking about the MrBeast situation specifically, or that Ludwig is obligated to talk about whatever is going on the internet, but overall, it could have been a good decision for Ludwig. Nonetheless, he ended up doing quite the opposite, and as Ludwig said himself, he watched all of the Dogpack videos and he basically reacted live to all of the MrBeast drama. And instead of really having some opinion, the livestream seemed really useless. He either didn't talk about anything at all, and luckily all of this is what Ludwig ended up acknowledging in his video. I overall agree that making a video about the MrBeast situation probably wouldn't be the best idea, since Ludwig and MrBeast are good friends, and as Ludwig said, the video would be biased. I still think that even when you have some sort of a bias, which Ludwig obviously has, you still can watch the videos and objectively listen to the facts that are being said in the video, but I do understand why Ludwig didn't want to cover it initially, which is an interesting point that Ludwig brought up.
Because I've done MrBeast videos, and in the ones I do, he doesn't let me fake them, right? I had to spend 31 hours on a plane crash that happened, and I had to sleep on a plane wing.
From the entire Ludwig video, I feel like this is the most valid point that he made. If it's true that all of the MrBeast videos that that Ludwig was in weren't fake. I absolutely do understand where Ludwig is coming from, thinking that, like, the videos I shot with MrBeast were very real. Why would he fake this one? And after this, Ludwig ends up talking about another good point.
You don't know MrBeast, the company, right? Or MrBeast, like the CEO or whatever the title he has at his company. And the things he does there, they don't operate well, right? His employees aren't being treated right. And that hits home to me. Like, I like treating my employees well. I mean, I made my company a workers' co-op. That is very important to me. It is not something that I take lightly. But I had to divorce the idea of, like, this guy that I knew and what I think about this guy versus how he operated his company and the bad things his company did.
I think it's possible and also very obvious that MrBeast would act differently around his employees and differently around his friends or YouTube colleagues. However, I really understand Ludwig here. If most of the interactions Ludwig had with MrBeast were positive, then you can't really blame Ludwig for not, like, second guessing himself. Maybe MrBeast is evil and I don't know about it. Keep in mind, before this dogpack video came out and all of the Ava Chris Tyson situation started getting public, that's the image most people had of MrBeast. Most people thought that he really is this just genuine guy that wants to make the best YouTube videos ever. Now, where I think I will slightly disagree with Ludwig is this part.
What I was basically saying is that they should have kept the lights off. They just should have kept him off at night, allowed him to sleep. But they made a mistake. They fucked up. So then they should have at least adapted, right? They hear this guy, Jake Weddle, the competitor, complaining. They come in, they go, okay, we can turn the lights off in exchange for you giving up like a hot tub or whatever. Basically like what they did in the other video they made about solitary confinement, where they would give up items in exchange for money. You know, at least allow it to be a part of the contest instead of not turning the lights off and then also making him run a marathon, which several times I admonished throughout the stream because it's like obviously a fucked up thing to do.
If you don't know what Ludwig is talking about, Jake, the guy that Dogpack interviewed, said that he was in a MrBeast challenge, and during this MrBeast challenge he couldn't sleep because the lights went on 24/7, and when he wanted the lights to be turned off, they weren't. So obviously I don't have this confirmed, but I think this was done on purpose, or that there maybe was a little bit more malicious intent behind it, because Jake said in the Dogpack interview that he complained about the lights not being turned off, and he made it clear that he isn't happy with that. And even though this complaint was there, they still weren't turning the lights off. And I get why Ludwig is saying that they could have turned it into content like, give up this and we will turn off the lights, but I still feel like it's really fucked up and that they just should have turned off the lights no matter what. There was also someone in the comments making a very valid point about this. I think one of the biggest problems is the fact that staying in solitary confinement with the white floors and light and no clocks to tell the time, so you have no concept of night and day or how many days you spend by yourself, can lead to permanent brain damage just in 3 days. And Jake spent 10 days in there under those circumstances. It also throws off your circadian rhythm, which can lead to hormonal imbalances and insomnia. To the people saying, oh, he could have just left, I don't think Jake was in the right mind to be able to consent at that point. His brain was not working at a full capacity, which leaves him very vulnerable under the circumstances MrBeast left him, making him think if he left without competing 30 days, it would lead to the company losing money, etc. In my opinion, they should have had a team of psychologists because they were basically filming a video on human psychology. These psychologists wouldn't be tasked with monitoring Jake's mental status and pull the plug on the challenge when they found fit. So the outcome of one single video wouldn't be this detrimental to Jake's mental health. This is just another example of Jimmy not caring about his contestants and having one of the worst cases of content brain. Now, do you remember when we talked about JoJo previously? It turns out JoJo didn't also have all of the facts, right?
And the other take that Ludwig had said several times in the stream was, well, if he was having trouble, he could have walked away from this challenge whenever he wanted. He could have just stepped away. I mean, it's his decision at the end of the day. He didn't have to be there.
I empathize with the difficulty of the challenge, but ultimately you know what the challenge is when you go into it. And I think you can walk, right? I don't know why JoJo did this. I didn't say that several times. You know what's a good example? This Japanese comedian who took part in this wildly popular game show in Japan. And there's a Hulu documentary called The Contestant about it. And in it, he describes how he spent a year of his life in a room in solitary, basically, naked, and why he never left, even though he was allowed to leave at any moment. And I think it's because the opportunity seems too great to pass up.
Jojo actually ended up uploading another video called Ludwig, where he pretty much says that he thinks that the Ludwig response is pretty good, and that he had no intention to spread false information or anything like that, and he also ended up unlisting his previous video. I feel like the most important question people had about the entire MrBeast situation is, will MrBeast respond? And some people think MrBeast doesn't need to respond, that he will be able to get away with this, and some think that he has no other option than to actually respond.
And if you're wondering how I feel about it, I'll tell you right now. I think Jimmy needs to make a reply. Like, he technically doesn't need to. He uploaded a YouTube video and it got 120 million views, and he could probably continue to upload videos without ever replying and continue to get hundreds of millions of views. But I won't be able to support him. I won't support him in any way, shape, or form if that's what he does.
Now, MrBeast has probably two options, right? He either could not respond to it and continue doing business as usual, or he could respond, which could end up making the controversy even bigger. Eventually, people that watch MrBeast and don't know about what is happening, and trust me, I think there still is a lot of people that don't know what is happening around MrBeast and do watch his videos, he would pretty much expose the entire thing even to those people that don't know what is happening. And I honestly thought that before the second Dogpack video came out, that MrBeast would be able to walk off and just continue posting content, and in a few months, most of the people would either forget or just stop caring. This is, for example, very evident with Logan Paul, which is something that surprises me deeply, but Logan Paul still has fans. And I know most of them are probably children, but even the fact that he still has fans after everything he done, from the forest in Japan to suing CoffeeZilla and CoffeeZilla making an entire series about him, and that's why at first I thought that MrBeast would actually be able to get away with it. But now that the second Dogpack video came out and it revealed that MrBeast was employing this registered sex offender, it looks like that MrBeast will now have to make a response, because if he doesn't, it's very probable that a lot of his sponsors will be coming towards Jimmy and asking him, is it true that there was a registered sex offender working at your company? Is it true that you knew about it? And if all of these sponsors and major news outlets won't get a response out of MrBeast, it won't be a good look, and it could lead to a lot of sponsors leaving MrBeast permanently. Which brings me probably to the most important part out of this entire Ludwig video, and I'm not sure if this was mentioned anywhere else, but this is the first time I heard about it. MrBeast will actually make a statement.
I called him and I said two things. One, when are you going to reply? And he echoed what was said in the Dogpack video, which is when everything comes out, he's going to make one reply as opposed to a reply after every single video.
At this point, it's pretty likely that MrBeast will have to respond, but hearing it from someone like Ludwig that he actually talked to MrBeast recently, and MrBeast himself said that he most likely will be doing a response, is good to hear. I'm honestly very curious about how that will end up, if MrBeast will just take the blame or make a very political response in terms like, yeah, there have been some bad things going on, but I will investigate it now and I will let you know once the investigation is done, and never talk about it again. I really hope that if MrBeast does make a actual response, that he goes in depth in that response. He really goes and talks about everything that he needs to talk about. Now, after all of this, I think it's pretty safe to say that MrBeast videos won't ever be the same again. I personally definitely won't be able to enjoy them as I used to, which is just sad because MrBeast was, in my opinion, one of the greatest YouTubers we ever had, but as we are just now discovering, it all came with a cost. Right now, it's hard to tell how much it will affect MrBeast in the future and how it will affect his career long term, but we will just have to wait and see for it, so feel free to subscribe to this channel and I will make sure to cover it once the video is out.